Vice President Kamala Harris laid out the economic agenda she says she'll implement in the first 100 days if elected president. She detailed her plan Friday in Raleigh, North Carolina, a state that her opponent won in the past 2 elections. But Democrats are hoping to flip the state blue. Harris's campaign says she visited 8 times this year. Her proposal includes an expansion of the child tax credit, helping first-time homebuyers with their down payments, and banning price gouging for groceries.
As president, I will be laser-focused on creating opportunities for the middle class that advance their economic security, stability, and dignity. Together, we will build what I call an opportunity economy.
Meanwhile, former President Donald Trump's running mate, J.D. Vance, campaigned in Wisconsin Friday. He spoke at the Milwaukee Police Association, attacking Harris's history as a prosecutor and California Attorney General. He called her soft on crime and dangerous for law enforcement. CBS News Chief White House correspondent Nancy Cordes joins me now from Raleigh, North Carolina. Nancy, let's separate some of these policies that Harris proposed. First, the child tax credit. What did Harris say about that and how families would feel the impact?
Well, she wants to reinstate a per-child tax credit that lapsed a few years ago, $3,600 per child. But she says for newborns in the first year of life, she would like to up it to $6,000. So that is a departure from the Biden years. And interestingly, it's one area where there's actually some common ground between the Harris campaign and the Trump campaign. Just this past weekend on Face the Nation, Senator J.D. Vance, President Trump's running mate, said that he would favor, and therefore President Trump would favor, a $5,000 per child tax credit. Not easy to get through Congress, as we've seen. Otherwise, it would be in place right now. But interesting that both campaigns are talking about it.
Let's turn to housing. Harris discussed a first-time homebuyer down payment initiative, as well as building new affordable housing. What does she say?
Well, the price of housing, I don't have to tell you, has just skyrocketed over the past 5 years. Here in Raleigh, North Carolina, for example, since 2019, the price for a typical home has gone from something like $275,000 to nearly $450,000. That puts it out of the reach of most first-time home buyers. And so what Harris is proposing, first and foremost, is up to $25,000 in down payment assistance for first-time home buyers, with the most generous assistance to go to first-in-their-generation individuals to purchase a home or to live in this country. Then beyond that, she wants to create a whole bunch of tax incentives or make existing tax incentives more generous to both spur the building of affordable housing rentals and to encourage home builders to construct less costly starter homes. And all of her initiatives combined, she insists, would lead to the creation of about 3 million new homes over the course of her 4-year presidency if she were to be reelected. There's really no way for us to check that because we don't have a lot of details about her plans, and her campaign also hasn't said how much all of this would cost and whether she would pay for it by cutting elsewhere in the budget or if she just plans to run a larger deficit than the current president does.
Nancy, she also mentioned lowering grocery bills. She acknowledged how expensive some items have gotten. One question I want to ask you is how can she make the case then she can make it better at the top of the ticket as opposed to vice president?
This is a really tricky challenge for her because on one hand, she needs to acknowledge that prices have been high throughout most of the Biden presidency in the wake of the pandemic. There's no sugarcoating that. At the same time, she's also trying to make the case that the Biden-Harris administration and its policies have helped to bring down inflation faster than we've seen it come down in virtually every other developed nation, to the point where it's now finally below 3% this month. And so she's arguing that a continuation of the policies that they have championed over the past 4 years, plus some new policies that she's now proposing, for example, this crackdown on price gouging, among in the food industry, grocery stores, meat processors, that kind of thing. She argues that that's going to help to bring down prices even more. Again, we're still trying to fill in the gaps on how exactly some of these policies would work, which makes it difficult even for economists to analyze what she's proposing and determine how much it would cost and how much it would help.